Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light, all light, all light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
What is up? What is up? Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in Ohio. Today, we've got our guest from Ohio. It's going to be a great show. It's the number one landscape lighting show in Ohio, Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. Emery Allen, thank you so much for your support. We are broadcasting live from my house, Landscape Lighting Secret Studios right now, here in Lehi, Utah. And I love this show. It gets me so fired up, not just for business, but for life in general. The guests that we have on here are amazing. And today's going to be an epic show. We've got the one and only Mr. Chris Apflestadt. Some call him applesauce. Some just say whatever. But it's going to be a great show. He is the owner of Light Up Columbus. He's been on here several times, and we're going to pick his brain and see what's going on in Columbus and the surrounding areas. He's a phenomenal person, a good leader, a family guy, just an overall great dude. So I'm excited to have him on the show again. If you are looking to start or grow your lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We're here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. So really, really excited for today's show. Again, a couple reminders. Don't forget to give me that 5-star review. By the way, if you own a business, it doesn't hurt to ask people for 5-star reviews. Since I've started doing that, I started to get more reviews, right? So thank you so much if you've already done that. Really, really appreciate the support. It means a ton. Sometimes you guys don't leave a written review, so I don't know who did it exactly. Sometimes the names are wacky or whatever, but thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And if you have not, it's not too late. Just go hook me up. Go to Spotify or Apple and give me a 5-star review. So also, before we have Chris on, I want to remind you, I'm still hiring. I'm hiring for a few different positions. So the ones that we've announced so far are salesperson. So the salesperson, you can be remote, doesn't have to be in Utah. You can live anywhere, technically in the world. So if it's not you, if it's someone that you think would be a good fit, we are looking for someone to join our team. So make sure you tell them to reach out to us, support@ryanleecoaching.com. And if they email us, mention, have them tell us how they heard about us, because we do pay for referrals. So we're looking for a salesperson as soon as possible. People are trying to reach out to me and it's hard to get a hold of me right now. So that's a problem, right? So we're also hiring for an event CEO, which is going to help us put on events throughout 2024 and beyond. We're putting together more and more of these things, and we need someone who's super organized, and it's not me, right? So also that is a remote position. So I'll start out part-time and then transition to full-time. So, and if you're just like, well, I don't know, like if I'll fit in either of those, but you want to work with us in some capacity, send us an email at support@ryanleecoaching.com, because we do have more positions coming up soon as well. We're looking for good people. So, all right. Well, I got to thank, of course, Emery Allen. What's the best way? Well, let's turn out the music first. What's the best way to stand out of the crowd? Well, being different. And set yourself apart from others in the lighting industry and impress your customers by installing Emery Allen bulbs or lamps in your next project. You'll discover a higher level of quality across the board, from the bulbs themselves to the top-tier customer support you can expect to get if you have any issues or questions. Right now is a great time to make the switch. So what do you have to lose? Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com. Tom Garber's the owner. And if you just email him and say, hey, I heard about you here on Lighting for Profits, I want the hookup, he's going to hook you up. Don't go to their website, because you're just going to overpay at that point. He's giving you the hookup by just emailing Tom G at emeryallen.com. Mention Ryan Lee, mention Lighting for Profits, and he's going to get you hooked up with your discounted contractor pricing. So they're taking over, guys. Everywhere I go, I meet more and more people that are using Emery Allen. So, what are you waiting for? Just make that switch. Thank you so much to Emery Allen for your support. And looks like we got Brian Dank on. That's his signature lizard, right? Showing up. So thanks for being here, man. All right, guys. So in just a few minutes, we got Chris Apflestadt coming on with Light Up Columbus. And this is an amazing dude. So you're going to want to stick around. Before we have him on, I want to talk about something real quick. Just recently, I was actually on someone else's podcast. And Sid Graff, who he was on our show here. He was on episode 116. And I was on his podcast called the 80/20 podcast, 80/20 Service Business Podcast. He's a great guy. Very, very well put together. He's organized. He's professional. He's doing a lot of really big things, not only in his own home service business, but in the industry as well. And at the end of the interview, he asked me, he goes, "Hey, before we have you leave, what's a habit or something, that you've done or that you do that really moves the needle?" And his podcast is all about the 80/20. So it's like, what are the things that you can do in your business to get 80 instead of the 20 type thing? And as soon as he asked me that question, I had a bunch of things just like come to my mind. And I was like, well, it's not really one thing. It's like this and this and this. But the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, well, I'll just share the first thing, right? And before I tell you what the first thing that I shared was, I want to take you back a little bit in time to when I started my landscape lighting business. So I had a marketing degree. I even got my MBA. And I was like the first person in my family to get a degree. So I was really proud of that. And I thought that what you did at the time was like you get a degree and then you go like do stuff with it. Right. And I actually thought I was going to like land this like corporate job and get like a signing bonus and a cell phone and a car. Like, I don't know. I that's just what I thought was going to happen. And that didn't happen. I ended up getting a marketing job, getting like $30,000 a year. I was like, what? Like, I just worked all these years to get this. Then I ended up getting a sales job, and I was actually making really good money at that point, but I just wasn't happy. So I went back and I decided to start this landscape lighting business. And it was a lot harder than I thought. I remember just thinking like, man, this is not, this is not what I thought. I started it because I didn't want to report to a boss. I wanted to be able to control my own schedule. I wanted to go on vacation when I wanted to go on. If I want to go out of town, I don't want to have to check in. Right. I started it for freedom, and then lo and behold, after several months, a year, 2 years in, I'm like, man, this is the exact opposite of freedom. In fact, I feel trapped in my business. I can't go out of town. I can't leave early. If I leave the crew, they mess up. If I'm not doing sales, I don't get sales. If I'm not answering the phone, I'm missing out on sales opportunities. I mean, it became a nightmare, right? The exact opposite of what I tried to create. And it was at that time where I was like, man, something's got to change. I was literally to that point where, I was on like LinkedIn and I was getting emails and stuff like, hey, we've got an opportunity. And I was like, dang, like I was kind of getting excited about taking a marketing director job or something where I could get paid just like $80,000 a year. And then at least I was home at 5, right? And I was literally to that point, like, man, I should just like, maybe this business owner thing's not for me. You see, because no one trained me. No one told me like how to do, like, how do you run your own business? Like I didn't learn that in marketing school. I didn't learn that getting an MBA, right? And where I learned it was like out running my business. And luckily I had successful clients that taught me. I started to lean on them and ask them questions. And I realized what one of the problems, there were several problems. Number one, I wasn't making enough money, which is why I'm so passionate about helping people with their pricing and sales, because you've got to have enough money to grow into the business that you want to become. But the other major thing that I noticed that I was not doing was this concept, this strategy called time blocking. And that's what I shared with Sid on the podcast. I said, you know what? I think that the number one needle mover that came to my mind first was time blocking. And what time blocking is scheduling time to work on your business. And instead of saying like, all right, it's Monday morning, here we go. We're going out into the real world. We're going to run our lighting business. It's like being a little bit more strategic and intentional with your time, because we all know that like whatever time we have, we will fill it. If we have a week to get something done, we're probably not going to get it all done today in the next 2 hours because we have all week. We'll do that later, right? And so time blocking really helps you be intentional with your time. And so instead of running sales appointments Monday through Friday from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you may consider doing like, you know what? I only do sales appointments on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So now you have Mondays and Fridays to focus on other things, right? Or maybe you're like, no, that doesn't work. I need to be available every day for sales appointments. Then you say, okay, my sales appointments are only between 5 and 9 p.m. I'm just throwing out some hypotheticals. You got to find something that works for you. It's kind of like trying to sign up for a diet and you realize, well, this isn't going to work for me long term. It might work short term. Don't do this to just try for a couple weeks. Like this is a commitment to a new lifestyle where you're going to dedicate this time every single day, every single week, every single month, whenever it is. This is your new time, right? And we say we have 5. Some people work 6 days a week, some work 7. But what if you said you only have 4 days a week to install? If you're a one-man show, you've got to dedicate time to sales. What if you said you're only going to install 3 days a week, right? There's no one else telling you have to install 5 days a week. Just do it in 3 days, right? And then your other 2 days can be sales and working on your business, however you want to do it. No one ever told me that I could do this. We all just think that we have to work under the rules that the world has presented to us, but you don't have to work like the world has told you. You can set your own rules. So if I were to tell you, hey, next Tuesday, I got an opportunity. I met with this landscape architect, and they've got a landscape lighting opportunity for you. It's a $150,000 job. It's next Tuesday at 5:00. I mean, what's your initial reaction? Like, could you be there? If I said, this is like 10 minutes from your house, I need you to be there at 5:00 next Tuesday. Most people are going to be like, heck yeah, I'll be there, and you might even call your spouse and say, hey, I know we were going to go out to dinner, but I've got this thing, because it's like such an amazing opportunity. Like you'd find a way to be there. And if you start thinking about working on your business, like a $100,000 or a $200,000 opportunity, you'll be more intentional about blocking that time away. And in reality, working on your business is worth way more than $150,000. There's really no number you can put on it, because it's worth a lot of money, yes, but it's also worth your freedom, which your time is your number one asset, and it's really hard to put a number on it, right? So I want to encourage you to time block, to schedule time to do certain tasks, instead of saying like, next week I'll do the thing, and then a week after that I might do this thing, or this week I have this much time to do installs. Like, try to get very specific and narrow on what you're willing and not willing to do, so that when you're presented with opportunities, you actually just say no. Like if you say, I can only do sales appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they say, how about Friday? Instead of saying yes to that, say, how about next Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, right? And you'll be surprised. A lot of times we're afraid of telling our customers no, because we think customer service is doing whatever they want. But when you push back like that and let the potential clients live within your rules, you establish status. There's a lot of psychology that goes into this as well. You don't really scare them off. You actually establish yourself as a higher standard, and you make them work within your rules. You'll notice yourself attracting a higher level client as well, and your closing rate's gonna go up. All sorts of stuff changes, which I'm not going to get into right now. But the best thing would be to time block. Okay, so schedule in time when you're going to be a salesperson, when you're going to be an installer, when you're going to be a business owner. No one ever really schedules in like a 2-hour block to like sit there and think and strategize and figure out what is your 2024 plans, what is your 3-year plan. Like, when are you working on your business? And if you don't do that, 5 years are going to go by super fast, and then you're gonna be like, crap, I'm still doing the exact same thing that I was before. Maybe my revenues grew, maybe I have more employees, but I don't really have freedom. Like, what's the point of all this? And that's the last thing I want, because that's what happened to me. I woke up one day and I was like, what have I been doing? Why am I doing all this? Right? That's when I started to get super intentional, started working on my business, and just chip away. You're not going to go from being an operator owner to a business owner in 1 week. It takes time. That's okay. Just be disciplined to it and stick to it, and you'll see the long-term game starting to pay off. So, all right, guys, that's all I got for you. I think it's time. Everyone's here for our guest anyway. Let's get to our guest. What's up, Eric? Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm repping the Light Up Columbus brand today. What's up, Greg? Tuning in from the Hamptons. Wow. Look out. So let's get going. You guys ready? What is up? What is up? Thanks for being here, Chris.
What's up, Ryan?
Really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you got a lot of stuff going on today.
Thanks for having me here. It's an exciting day to be alive.
I love it. It's all about perspective. Some people are probably going, are you sure? They just had some like major problem hit them or whatever, but it's all about perspective. Today could be the greatest day of our lives, right?
I'm on like a parenting high because this weekend, my son, who, isn't the best player on his team, kind of comes off the bench. He scored the only goal in his game winner, first goal of his life. Huge deal. He was a hero. They won 1-0. And, it was really, really neat from a parent perspective to watch him do that and like just have so much respect and excitement from his team. And I mean, I was emotional sitting there on the sideline, but it was really fun. So that was awesome. And then even more fun today, the second we finish this podcast, I'm going upstairs and we're going to give my daughter a scavenger hunt. And she's going to find out that she leaves in an hour to go to Paris with my wife, mother-in-law, and my sister. So it's going to be just the coolest moment ever because she's wanted to go ever since she could talk, and she's just going to freak out. So I'm stoked.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know. I was like, how do I apply to do the scavenger hunt thing? Like, how do I put my name in a hat or something?
If you want to go, you can go meet him. I'm nervous because, there's a lot of crazy protest stuff going on. So I just want them to be very, very safe the whole time they're there.
For sure. Well, I love what you're doing. From a business standpoint, you're a successful husband, father, business owner, all this stuff, right? But it reminds me, it helps me be more intentional because a lot of times we're working like crazy hours and traveling and just doing whatever. And it's like, no, it is about those moments. And I love the fact that Bennett had that experience because that just makes everything worth it. Like it's such a good story.
He didn't suddenly become the best player on the team, but he was in the right spot at the right time, that one moment. And it just helps his confidence. We bumped up a level this year to play in a harder league with a lot more commitment, a lot more seriousness. And like all the kids are good, and so it's just exciting. It's always cool as a parent, as an employer, to see your kid, to see your employee, to see anyone, I'm sure for you as a coach, when you see these people that you've helped be successful, when they have a big win and they call you and tell you, like, it's almost more exciting than when you have the win yourself. When you see someone that you've helped get to that point, it's pretty cool.
It's insane. Like I actually totally underestimated that when I launched the coaching. Like I thought I was doing it to like the next level of like income for my family, like, well, I've got to work, so I might as well do this. But then you start to get people those results and it's like, oh my freaking hell, this is crazy. Like in a weird way, like I'm still going to charge for my services, but it's like, I should be paying. Like, what the heck? Like I'm getting rewarded. Like I'm fixing my past and doing all this stuff. And like, it just feels so good. So you're totally right.
You wouldn't imagine that, other people's success can feel even better than your own success. But when you are a coach or a parent and you see that, that's all you want is for whoever you're helping to be successful. And especially, when there's the moment where you contributed to it, that person might not have said it that way. They might not have closed that deal if they hadn't listened to 100 of my podcasts, so that's a really interesting, neat feeling that to know that you directly contribute to someone's success and then to share in that excitement with them. It's hard to match.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a minute because you're actually on top of all the other stuff you're doing, running a business, running a family and being everywhere and stuff like that. But you're also a wrestling coach. And at first, when I heard that about you, I was like, wait, I didn't think your kids were that old. Like, I'm like, I would think like a coach is normally like, oh, I coach because my son's in wrestling or something like that. But it's like, no, like you're a former wrestler. Like you're passionate about this. Why do you like coaching?
It's crazy. This will be my 24th year coaching wrestling, and I wasn't good enough to wrestle in the Big Ten. Like you got to be a 3 or 4 time state champ to even be considered to be on the Ohio State team. And I, had scholarships and academically to go to Ohio State, and I had half off tuition because my mom taught there. So I didn't wrestle in college, but I started coaching right away. And, I would say that I contribute more to the world as a wrestling coach than any other way. I affect more lives in a greater way. And of these decades that I've been coaching, I still have these kids that, still call me, they talk to me about their kids and their lives. And it's hard to match the feeling of, teaching these guys to be better young men, and now girls to be better young women too, because girls wrestling is sanctioned in Ohio. And, I've coached a state champ on the girls side, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, I get more out of it, and I feel that I give more to the world as a wrestling coach than in any other way.
It's an interesting concept, just kind of teaching and coaching in general, because I don't have that experience that you do as a wrestling coach. I do now as like a lighting, a business coach, but I feel like, like maybe talk about how that works, because like, how to wrestle, but like when you have to teach someone how to wrestle, did you feel like you became like a better wrestler when you started like becoming a coach and thinking about like how you could teach someone versus just doing it yourself?
Yeah, no doubt about that. That the best way to become better is by teaching what it is that you do. Because there's some people, and this is sports, this is business. You can be really, really amazing at your craft, but you can still suck at teaching it, and just go watch some of the best snowboarders or skiers out there and have them try to teach their wife or husband. It's usually a box.
Are you talking about Lindsay? Like that's what
I have talked to Lindsay about that, but being able to do something doesn't mean you know how to teach it. And I've always grown up with the heart of a teacher, and I like the challenge of figuring out how to explain something in a way that someone can understand it and have that light bulb go off in their head. And you have to really, really know your stuff, because you get exposed very quickly if you can't fake it as a coach. You start trying to teach something and they ask you a question and you don't know the answer to the question, and that shows very quickly. You try to make it up and then they get it, they can't do it right, And in wrestling, it's so much about how it feels in your position, and it's not even being able to verbalize it. You have to show them and let them feel it. And so, yeah, teaching definitely makes you better at learning, and it shows you really quickly if you think you know something, whether you do or not.
And I think it's cool that this came up, because when I was running my lighting business, I didn't know that. I didn't know what we're talking about now. I don't know that I've ever experienced it in this way, but I look back, I'm like, okay, if someone's listening to this, how could they use that information to help them be a better business leader, build their team, rather than just kind of going through the day to day? What types of things could they take from this now that they know that, like, wow, they could actually become smarter or better at designing, installing, whatever, by teaching it? How could they take this concept and better their teams with it?
Well, part of it is just the concept that you are a coach. You are the leader of your team. And we've all probably had in our life a boss that was our boss, but wasn't a good leader and wasn't a good teacher. And that's frustrating, and that makes you want to quit. And so knowing that, if you've experienced that, you want to come across the opposite way to your team. You want to be able to teach them the right way to where they feel valued and they're able to get better and better every day. And I think a big part of that comes down to the technique, the style in which you coach, because you can't teach the same way to different people. We all learn differently. And so I think the best coaches and the best teachers are really good at reading and understanding their students and figuring out how to communicate properly with them in a way that's going to help them understand. There's some wrestlers I have that they don't do well. They come off the mat and you smack them in the head and get in their face and yell at them, and they love it and they respond to that. There's other kids that if you did that, they would quit and their parents would sue the school. Like, you got to know how to communicate properly. Some people just need to put your arm around them, say, hey, it's okay, buddy. It'll be better next time. And some people want to learn right then. Some people need to wait and come back and look at the film and figure out how to get better, to process it. So how do they think, how do they act, and how do they learn is so important. And when you can identify their learning styles and what's the most effective way to teach them, then you can be a much more effective teacher moving forward to help them get the results that we're all looking for.
Yeah, I love it. No one really, I don't know. Did anyone talk to you about this when you were starting your business? Like, this is how you should run your business. Like, no one really talks about it. So then you just hire someone and you think that, like, here, go install lights. And on Friday you get a paycheck, and then you just do that over and over.
Well, the funny part is that when I started my business, it was a house painting company, and I only hired wrestlers. So these are my guys that I coached already, and we already had this coaching relationship with. So I knew how to communicate with them from having spent 4 years, in the trenches, in the wrestling room, which is way easier or way harder than actually working outside painting. Like, painting is pretty simple compared to wrestling. And Dan Gable is, one of the best wrestlers ever, Olympic champion, only lost one match in all of college, and then one of the best coaches ever. He coached Iowa for over 20 years and he has all the records for the most championships and most champions. And he always says, once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. And so, the wrestlers have that kind of mindset where, man, if we can, lose 15 pounds in a day and then go wrestle 8 matches against guys who are, just trying to murder us, business is not that hard. Like, this is not a big deal compared to having gone through that experience in high school or in college.
Love it. So is that still a strategy of yours, is to recruit wrestlers, or at least athletes?
My director of operations is a wrestler. Another guy that's been with me for 4 years is a wrestler. If I can find wrestlers, for sure, I want them to come work for me. And I still hire guys, out of the room. Their work ethic, their attitude, very, very easily. And so I know the kind of guys, hey, I would never hire that guy, but I want three Franks to be on my team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. That's good stuff. So we're in October. Are you in full Christmas light blitz mode yet?
Merry Christmas, Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. I had 4 interviews Friday. Well, I had 4 scheduled interviews, and one guy showed up to the interview. I don't understand why people apply for jobs and submit their resumes and schedule interviews and then just, disappear and never talk to us again. But I hired that guy, and I got some more this week. But yeah, we're out hanging Christmas lights. It's time. We have a really fun project that, when I started, I cold called my city hall, basically. I drove by and they had horrible lighting done, knocked on the door, and I said, this is what I do. I live in this town. I grew up here. I can do much better. They're like, okay, we can talk. And we met, and I said, now we can do this way better, but there's all this other opportunity here. And so the first year was a $1,200 job. And then now we're in, well over 6 figures, just because we built this project up from the ground and turned it to a big event, a big destination for the city. So it's a lot of fun, but we got a early deadline this year, so we're cranking on it right away.
When you say 6 figures, you mean just this year, that's not like the lifetime value of it.
Oh yeah. This year it's, almost $130,000 worth of work for holiday lighting.
It's so awesome. There's a lot to pick apart there, but like, when people are slow, I mean, there's so much you can do, including just go knock on someone's door and tell them why you do what you do and what you want to do. And I mean, had you not done that, I mean, this is now worth lifetime value, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's probably gonna be worth over $1 million lifetime value of this.
It absolutely will. And that's just the revenue from this client. But on top of that is the prestige and the pictures and be able to show, hey, look what we did. Like, everyone in town knows about the display. They come to the event. And so it's instant credibility that when I talk to someone new, I say, oh yeah, by the way, we do all the lights over in this part of town. They go, oh yeah, because they've seen it, so that's even more valuable.
Love it.
I think people, especially in holiday, they don't prospect. You see everyone online in the different Facebook groups talking about, hey, how do I get leads? And the answers are yard signs, Google, Facebook ads. that very few people ever talk about knocking on doors. And it's not, residential door knocking is one thing, and that's how I started my painting company for years. I did a lot of that. But targeting a vertical, and in my city, one of our first commercial projects was a nursing home, and it was, a $5,000 job, but it took 4 guys 5 hours to install. I was like, man, if I could just do 20 of those, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. And so I called every single assisted living facility in the central Ohio, and now we light 7 or 8 of them. And by finding the right person to talk to, like, you got to figure out who's the decision maker, who's the executive director, and knowing how to talk about it. Then you just pick up the phone and call them. Call all the banks. Banks love lighting. There's usually 8 of them in the same street. Call all the jewelry stores. There's all kinds of different verticals where if you just say, all right, I'm going to look up every single bank on this side of town. I'm going to tell them what we do. I'm going to call them. You'll probably find a couple to at least meet with you and entertain getting the design.
Love it. Hard work pays off.
Yep.
So you're at this, I feel like you're at this stage where Dan Plata, he's one of our landscape lighting secret coaches. He talked about purgatories of business with like finance and stuff, but I think there's purgatories with just growth. Like you've experienced a lot of growth in your landscape lighting business, your holiday lighting business. This time of year specifically, how have you managed the growth? How do you manage the growth of your landscape lighting business when you have this sudden demand for holiday lighting with real deadlines and stuff? What's going on in your mind? How are you organizing things?
We basically just shut down landscape lighting. I would like to be in a place where this is the last year that we have to do that. So I think it's a matter of having enough sales to keep enough people busy during the summer that we can transition into holiday, but still keep at least one team going on landscape lighting. Because now when people call for landscape lighting quotes, I got to tell them that, hey, we can't get to you until December if the weather cooperates, and we live in Ohio, so you never know, or in the spring. And some people really want it done now, and I don't want to lose business, but the holiday is such deadline oriented that we have to get it done. And so that's where all our manpower goes, and I need more manpower.
Yeah. So let's say you got an extra, when you say manpower, are you talking sales or install or both?
I hired a full-time salesperson who's starting in February. So I'm very excited about him. He's got 40 years in the landscaping industry. And that's my first time having a true full-time dedicated person for sales. So I think that's going to help us a lot. But the main point was manpower. It's having enough people to make sure we can accomplish the holiday lighting, great service, great product, great results, and then still have a team that can continue doing the landscape lighting side as well.
Got it. So you think by next year, then there's a potential that you might be able to go deeper into landscape lighting into the holiday lighting season. Maybe not like you will fully want in the end, but be able to handle a little bit more by next year.
That's the game plan.
Nice. Okay, cool. I feel like, just kind of talking about this, it's just one of those things. It's like, it's growing pains. It's like, man, you're saying yes to this, but you're saying no to this because of that. And it's just part of the process. What are some other like changes that you've had to make or that you're going to make personally to get to this level of business?
I think that, well, first of all, I think that I was really bad at business for a long time, and I wasn't aware of it. And I feel that every coaching podcast, someone says, you don't know what you don't know. It feels like it's such a cliched thing. But I really didn't know. I thought I was doing pretty good. I was making money. I didn't have to work very hard in the winter or in the summer, I mean. But once I added in landscape lighting, I really, tried to learn a lot and focused and found out, man, I kind of suck at a lot of things. And I succeeded despite those things. And I still have that kind of feeling where, it's like we've done some cool stuff and we've grown, but there's so much more opportunity and so much more room to grow that if I could get better at just a few little areas, like, man, what could we accomplish in that short period of time, And so, and I spend time, in Nashville with the Secrets group, with the Legends group, and being around these people that I want to be like. And I go, man, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. And pick one thing at a time to really focus on and try to improve. Because if I could get good at all those things, man, I mean, we could really, really do some great stuff in town and grow the industry and grow our team a lot.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's like, I've probably said this a lot where I'm like, that's the number one thing people struggle with. Like I probably have like 1,000 number one things.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like most of us, myself included, even with with this business, which I still consider new, I'm like figuring stuff out and trying things. And I'm like, man, you have to be intentional, like all the time thinking like intentionally, what is my next step? And like, should I really do that? Should I say no to that? Should I keep saying yes? I think the biggest challenge of being a business owner is just being busy. Like when you're busy and you have some leads and you have some people, it's just easy to be busy. Like it's just easy, right? And that lack of intention is like a huge problem because it's like, well, I mean, it's not that I'm being lazy. Like I'm putting out fires over here. I got this problem I'm going to go deal with. I got to hire more people. I got to do sales. I got to answer the phone, whatever it is. Before you know it, like time goes by and it's like, man, that was a whole year. Like that was 2 years. That was 5 years. Like it just goes by quick. And then you're doing the same activities. So I think being intentional is huge. And it's interesting to hear you talk about this because you said like for years you weren't really that intentional and then you got more intentional, but then you're like, I'm still not as intentional as I want to be. You keep leveling up. I don't know that it ever ends because you've mastered certain things now that used to be hard for you that you're just doing. So they don't really come up, but now that's why I think it's awesome what you're saying. Like you surround yourself with others and it always pushes you to go to that next level.
There is some truth in the fact that if you're ignorant, you're happy. You feel pretty good. And then you learn all this knowledge and you go, man, there's so much more I could do. And now I'm not satisfied with myself. Like I was pretty happy before when I sucked and didn't know it, There's a book that I read called, So You're Saying I'm Not Lazy or Stupid. And it's about adults with ADHD. And, I got diagnosed as a third grader before it was even like a thing that people talked about yet. And, being intentional is like, I have a disability that I can't be as intentional as I want to be, and I don't use that. I'm not using that as a crutch, but it's a reality, man.
Yeah.
And like, ask my wife if you want to learn about some examples of that being a reality. So it's even harder for me sometimes. And I have to like take extraordinary steps to make myself focus because that busy part is very, very true. I'm super busy, but I'm also easily distracted at a moment's notice away from what I should be doing.
Yeah. And, I see it from an outside perspective. So I totally see what you're saying. And I know some of the answers Becca might say too, if it's like, all right, give us some examples. But there are some things that you've been intentional about. When you came out, you helped us teach Landscape Lighting Live in Utah. You showed up, you were there, you were intentionally there. It was amazing. Brought a lot of value to the people that were there. But one of the things that you did after that was you got your new office manager and you flew her out to spend time with Keith Rosser's team. And I thought, man, that's such a good idea. Like, again, like you don't know what you don't know. When I was running my business, I had my blinders on. I was just like doing my thing. I didn't know that. Like, I would have never even considered that as a possibility. Like, I would think if I called someone, they'd be like, wait, you want to do what? But I thought it was a great idea. What was the intention there? What was the purpose of sending her out here?
So we got a tour of Keith's facility and seeing how he does things. And he's been in the game a long time and is very well respected nationwide for what he does. And I was particularly noticing his office manager and some of the responsibilities that she had and how she organized parts of the office. And he even mentioned that he had clients. He had a client whose wife passed away, and she called the office to tell his office manager, hey, by the way, Sarah died, because of his relationship with her just over the phone. I don't think they ever met each other in person. And I said, man, that's awesome. I want to build that same relationship between Ellen, my office manager, and our clientele. And I think she could probably learn. And so I asked, and of course, Keith's employee Nina was really excited about it because it's edifying to her that she's doing things well and that someone wants to learn from her. So I sent her out. She'd never been out west before. She spent a couple of days in the office and came back with some takeaways that we implemented, different ways to do things. And it also was really positive for Ellen because it showed that I'm investing in her. I spent money on an airplane ticket and a hotel and sent her out, showing that I want her to be better and continue to improve as we all do that together. And then on the flip side of that, Greg Matthews sent out his office manager, Steph, to Columbus. And I was like, dude, I don't know if we can teach her anything, that she doesn't know. I was like, she's welcome to come. And I directly said to Greg, we'd love to have her, and we'll give her a tour and show her what we do. I don't know if, we do anything that's better than how you guys do things. Like it might be a waste of your money, but send her on out. And so she did come out and had a great time. So Ellen got to go to Utah and learn, and then be on the flip side and be a teacher. And I think that should be really encouraged in our industry on all sides, from a production side, from a sales side. Like we can all learn from each other so much. And by spending time at each other's place of business, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is so cool. In fact, one thing I didn't anticipate. So I talked to Keith. I said, can we come do this thing? And he was gracious and willing to do it. And I'm like, just so grateful. Like, man, thank you so much. Right. But before I could even tell him thank you, he's calling me and just like, thank you. Thank you for bringing everybody by here. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh, it was just so good for us. And I'm like, what? Like, I just didn't anticipate that portion of like, wait a minute, you can learn, and you do learn, which we were just talking about, by teaching, right? So they learned themselves a lot from the experience of hosting these 25, 30 people at their place and hosting Ellen and stuff like that. So I just think there should be more and more of that. And unfortunately, I think people are afraid of like you said, like, what are they going to learn here? Like, do we have anything? It's like, everybody's got something, and then others are afraid to share their secrets or whatever it is, but man, I just think we can all help each other a lot in that regard.
Yeah. And at Landscape Lighting Live in Utah, I told a story about Greg being, a National Geographic photographer, and there was some photography online class about how to photograph landscape lighting. And so I went to the class hoping to learn something, and I see that Greg's there listening too. And honestly, the class wasn't very informative, and I texted him sarcastically going, hey, did you learn a lot, Greg? And he said, hey, I always learn something somewhere. And it, kind of smacked me around going, I'm one of the best photographers of landscape lighting in the country, but I'm still going to this because I'm hoping to pick up something to get better. And he humbled me when he said that, because I suck at landscape lighting photography. Like I'm trying, but I'm not good. And I thought that this was a waste of my time. And he was like, no, you can always learn something,
Yeah. He's a great example of that. I mean, even when he bought his ticket to that, I was like, hey, this is Landscape Lighting Live. Like, you're already in Landscape Lighting Secrets. We're not like revealing new secrets, And same attitude. Like, no, you can always learn something. So, all right, I want to ask you about this, and then we're going to do our gift card giveaway today. So if you guys are here live after this question, we're going to do gift card giveaway, and we're going to give away some money because that's always fun to do.
Someone has to beat Dank. Like, he can't win another. Like, he's been paying for his family's college fund with gift cards.
Maybe we'll change the name to just Beat Dank or something, because he is the reigning champion. I don't know how many times, but he's on top right now.
At least 4.
At least. All right. So the other day I opened up our Facebook group, Landscape Lighting Secrets, and you said something like, just paid a $30,000 referral commission, and it was the best thing ever, or something like that. What is that all about? Yeah.
So our biggest project that we've ever done, and we won a few awards for it from the AOLP. is my kind of my whale, and I was referred to that through a landscaping company. And when I did the initial quote, I baked in 10%. I knew that I was going to refer them, and ended up being a massive project. So we did phase 1 last year, and I wrote a big check. And we did phase 2 this year, and the same thing. I had already put it in a price, and so I wrote, over $30,000 check to a referral partner, and I felt great doing it because I knew that without that partner, I might not have had the opportunity to even step foot on that property. And I have learned more from this single job than years and years of landscape lighting can teach me. And it's been an incredible process. It's made us so much better. And we have such amazing shots for our portfolio. And it just took us from being, kind of the new guys to being able to confidently say that we're the best at design, we're the best execution, we're the best at customer service of anyone, in our area. And so that felt pretty cool. And so writing that check was just, I wrote it with a smile on my face. And most of us, when we write a check, we're not smiling, especially a big check. But I hope to write plenty more $30,000 referral checks in the future, because that means that we're doing, $300,000, $600,000, $1 million landscape lighting projects.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, because we had this discussion at Secret Summit, and people were like, "Man, like, can you really pay that much money?" And like, all they're doing is giving you a referral. And it's like, that's what I always go back to, is like, at the end of the day, these are jobs that you wouldn't have got otherwise. It's not like, it's a thank you. It's not like you're buying like Google ads and hoping for the best that you might get something. Like, it's already done. It's more than a guarantee. It's done. And it's a thank you. And again, it's from a job that you wouldn't have got otherwise. So for me, like, I'm with you. It's easy money. Like, write that check and get the next job for sure. So that's awesome. I've never had it. I don't know what the biggest referral check I did, but that's phenomenal. I love it.
Well, and the reality is it's the second one. So we're talking, close to $80,000 in referral fee that I paid out. But it's the best 80 grand that I ever spent. And I sure hope that they love cashing it and want to find me the next one too,
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, well, then if I pay them 10%, what about my sales guy? It's like, yes, everybody, it's just like your advertising budget. Certain times of my business, I was willing to pay over 15% of revenue for advertising, because we were in growth mode and we didn't have referrals and repeat business and all this stuff. As you grow and you start to be, over that $2-3 million mark, your ad spend doesn't necessarily have to go up, and you get more referrals, and there's some other strategies that help build momentum. So it can go down a lot, but 10% is not that much when all is said and done, All right, guys, you want to give some money away?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Gift card giveaway. All right, guys, it's everyone's favorite time. You get to get free money. The goal is to beat Brian Dank. We're not even sure if he's still here live, but he probably is. He is fast. He is good. He is well studied up. He is the legend when it comes to gift card giveaways. So you got to be quick. It's the first person to answer this question correctly, according to what I think is the right answer, or maybe what Chris thinks is the right answer. One of us, we have to agree with you. And you just have to be first in this software that I use. So kind of weird rules, but even if you think you're right, it doesn't matter if I don't think you're right. This is a short question, so be quick if you want to beat Dank. All right. Blank. Oh, wait. I got to get my thinking music ready. This is like really, really important. You got to have thinking music, don't you think?
And I can't play here, right, Ryan?
I don't think you should.
I got it.
I don't think you should.
If
if there's a delay, which I think someone's going to get it, but we'll give people a chance. If they don't get it, then you can play.
I got it.
All right. So here's the question. Blank is the measurement of light intensity at the center of a directional lamp's beam. So I'll say it again. Blank is the measurement of light intensity at the center of a directional lamp's beam. And the hint is it's measured in foot candles. Almost forgot the thinking music after I brought up the thinking music. Dude, I think he got it again. All right, so blank is a measurement of light intensity at the center of a directional lamp's beam. I'm pretty sure Dank got it. I don't know if that's him or not, but I think I'm going to display this. So we've got some guesses which are incorrect. Nathan, lumens. Scott, lumens. Greg, you're too late. He is correct. CBCP. And the winner, because they put it in first, I think I'm pretty sure this is Brian.
Foiled again.
I think he got it, you guys. I don't
Good job, Brian.
If that's Brian, congratulations. It's center beam candle power. I think it is him because he just put it in his signature lizard here. Awesome. Center beam candle power, which is really, really important to know, you guys. Lumens are, of course, important, but they don't take into account, what do you call it? Beam spread, right? So you could have a 400 lumen light, for example, that has a 60 degree lens on it versus a 12 degree. And if they're both 10 feet away from an object, they're going to have different center beam candle power. So if you ask Jan Moyer how you design, it's all with the CBCP, as Greg would say. So what's up, dude? I told you we're worldwide. Menelik Gerald, I'm not sure if that's how you say it. This guy is awesome, man. He's brilliant. Gerald, yeah. I try to sound smarter than Gerald. Thanks for your support. We're worldwide. Did I tell you that story when we were cleaning windows, Lindsay and I? I was knocking doors here in Utah, and if I couldn't close the deal on the spot or whatever, I'd get their name, or they'd have to talk to their husband or whatever it was. So I got this lady's name and number, and I was like, "No worries, I'll give you a call tonight. Here's your quote. I'll call you, and you guys can talk or whatever." And so at night I would go do the nightly phone calls, and I would call the people that I'd try to book for the next day or whatever. And we're in Utah where everybody is white, and there's no what do you call it?
Diversity,
exactly. Like that's all it is. So this was also like 25 years ago, and I call, and then I wrote down her name. So I read her name, and she answers the phone. She's like, "Hello." I'm like, "Hi, Janice." And she's like quiet, like, "This is Janice." Oh yeah, Janice. Hey, how's it going? I don't know why I thought her name was Janice, but she was definitely Janice. So
Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron. It totally was one of those moments. Janice, hey, how are you? It would have flown somewhere else, but not here in Sandy, Utah, where it was.
I think Dank is now the Ken Jennings of Landscape Lighting Secrets gift card giveaway.
I like it. Yeah. When I die, he will take over to run the gift card giveaway.
Did you know that Kampala is the capital of Uganda?
Yeah, he's from Uganda.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. I'm like, and we got to help him. He wants to create like 10,000 jobs. Yeah, let's see, it's right there. So we got to figure out a way to help him. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but he's got an awesome goal. So
let's just do a live in Uganda.
Like we go to Uganda?
Yeah, Landscape Lighting Live Uganda.
Okay. We just got to figure out actually how to do that. Someone was asking, Colton was asking, next Landscape Lighting Live. If you just go to landscapelightinglive.com, at the top, it'll say it's sold out. Put your name in there, and then you'll be guaranteed to get on the waiting list. We'll email out before we announce the next one. You could buy a ticket. People have already bought tickets for the next one, and they don't even know when the next one is. So that's how fast it's going to sell out. But if you get your name on the waiting list, we'll email, and then you can you'll be guaranteed a spot. But we did just plan 2024. It's going to be a great year, guys. It's going to be awesome. So, all right, let's get back into Chris. How you feeling? You good?
Feeling good.
Okay, cool. I like that idea. I don't even know. I guess I got to get with Menelik Gerald I'm sorry. I don't even know how to say it. Will you post in here like the pronunciation guide for me? Because I literally am terrible at this stuff. But we should just I'll just get with him. Like, how do we plan a landscape lighting live in Uganda? That'd be dope.
So I like to just check in, Ryan, because I've got to be a part of your show in these different levels of your business, and it's always really fun to just you don't talk about it as much, but you're growing, man. It's really, really cool to watch, and you set a whole new level, a whole new group that you're working with, and just congrats. I see you kind of traveling all over the country and speaking on other people's podcasts and at events, and yeah, it's really exciting. So just congratulations on your success, and it's well deserved. So we all appreciate you a lot, man. Thank you.
That's super nice of you. That's very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I'm like, I don't talk about a lot of the things I probably should talk about. But thank you. I appreciate that.
We see you.
Hashtag we see you.
Heck yeah.
So we're kind of getting low on time. I think, let's talk about this. I've had the opportunity to hang out with you more and more, which is awesome, at different events that I've put on, that you've helped put on. We got to hang out at Illy, just lots of different areas and stuff like that. And I've noticed that you're like I don't know, you're very good at learning. You're good at teaching. You're also good at learning. You've picked up terms, phrases, techniques from others and stuff like that. And then I see you using them.
Well,
So I like it because a lot of times we take notes and then most of us don't really implement most of us don't implement anything of what we learn. What are some of the favorite things that you've implemented in your business this year?
Oh man. When you said this year, it narrowed it down some, because there's easier things to just off the top of my head mention.
It could be anything.
Yeah,
Don't
I think one of the biggest values of attending an event is the terminology in lighting. And as your terminology gets better, your salesmanship increases, your credibility increases. So you can say the same thing, the same exact point of a sentence, but if you word it differently, if you craft your sentence more eloquently or with better vocabulary in the lighting world, you sound so much better, And so whenever I'm spending time with these guys that have been doing it for 30 years, I love picking up on those little types of things, or when I get and sit and have a meal with Eleftheria Deco at the Sterling event, she did the lighting design for the opening ceremonies for the Athens Olympic Games, like the highest in the world at her level. And then she lit the Acropolis in Greece, and to sit next to her and hear her speak and write things down and then use those lines and those phrases, when I'm talking to a client, I love it. It gets me really excited, and we joke about some of the things. At Illy, Jan doesn't talk about lighting a tree. She celebrates the tree, right? And people just sitting around, it sounds a little cheesy, but man, it's true. I want to celebrate this part of your home. Like, who doesn't want to celebrate something cool at their house? That sounds really, really neat. And so what's the celebrity? What's the most important thing that we're trying to have the most light on? And then we lower our levels of light down from there. And, I've lit a couple driveways this year with trees. And as we've learned, trees on either side of a driveway or a road is called, Ryan?
Allée,
which is a French word. And no one says that. Like, no normal people call that an allée, right? But I do now, and so do you, I'm like, man, we can really make this alley look beautiful and welcoming, and inviting people up to the front of your home, and those little tiny things I think are so important. It doesn't mean that you have to talk in a different accent and talk French. Ryan has an amazing French accent. If you guys haven't heard him say it before.
I mean, I will say, if you can do it, then do it, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you can still be yourself. But just, it makes you look so much more knowledgeable, and you are more knowledgeable. But being able to present it in a certain way that really relates and connects with the client makes closing the deal like 1,000 times easier. And so I'd say I don't know if I gave you enough specifics there, but that's something I really get out of spending time with the best in the country and in the world at what they do is how I talk about it. And so listening to them is a really important part for me, for my learning.
No, I love it. Like you hit on exactly because you're so good at it, and it's because you write it down and you make it intentional. See, you're more intentional than you thought. You make it intentional. And if you think about it, there's so many different ways to differentiate yourself when you're doing your marketing, your sales process. But this one is like the new one for like you and I. It's like, who else is going to throw out these terms and celebrate this tree? And I'm going to light this alley. And like, they're naturally going to be like, wait, what is he saying? Like some people may even stop and ask you, like, what does that mean or whatever. You're automatically differentiated. And it's like, man, this guy is really nerdy. This guy loves lighting. This guy's so passionate. And I know you've shared experiences with me where people just like, that's why they went with you, is like, just because you're so excited. They're like, this guy is totally geeking out on lighting. Like it's just so important to like be on top of your game on everything. And when you could sit in your truck for a minute, like, okay, I'm going to bring this up, bring this up again, be intentional. Your sales have nowhere to go but up.
So if you noticed, you said that the client might not know what it means, right? And that made me think about the fact that if I'm ever at an event and someone's on stage, and I don't care if there's 1,000 people in the room, but if they say a word I don't understand, I don't know what they're saying, I'm going to raise my hand and get clarification every single time. And I'm sure you've seen me do it. You've seen me do it to you, and I don't care who's talking, because if I don't understand, like they want me to understand. That's the whole point of them talking, right? So I'm not being rude. I'm just saying, hey, because probably half the people in the audience are just like me. What the hell did she just say? They have no idea, right? And so they shouldn't be able to go on. Like their job is to explain to us. And so I go, hey, what's that mean? And then I learn, right? And then I write it down. And to bring it back around, to wrestling, one of the things I love about the sport of wrestling is there's so many ways to win, right? If you saw a group of the national champions in the last 20 years all in a room, there's so many diverse shapes and sizes. There's tall, skinny guys, there's short, strongest. There's a guy with one leg, Ryan, right, who was a national AA champion in college, right? And there's so many ways to win. You can be fastest guy. You could be the strongest guy. You could be super slow, super weak, but you have the best technique. You can win just by having this crazy strong heart and a will that you just refuse to lose no matter what, right? The same thing exists in running a lighting business. There's so many ways to be successful. You can become super efficient at $3,000 jobs and do 5 or 6 of them a day and make millions of dollars. You can crush it at selling and closing $500,000 jobs and do 3 or 4 a year and crush it. You can be a landscape, hardscape guy, right? You can only light trees. You can only light homes. There's so many ways. You can become the best designer in your area, right? Or you can suck at design, but you're so good at sales that it doesn't matter because you still close more deals than the guy down the street who's way better at you at design, right? And that's what's so awesome about this industry, because you got to find your way. What are you passionate about? And then focus on that area and go make a ton of money and change lives and employ people and bring joy through light.
Man, I love it. I mean, yeah. I think we got to end with that, because great way to sum it up. I think there's so many ways to win. You're an example of you win a lot of different ways, which is why I like hanging out with you, because you're able to combine design, the install, the sales, the business side, the efficiency. It's like all of it, right? So you're the total package, man. But you're right. Yeah. But there's so many different ways to win. And so I think that's a great message to get out there, is like, if you are more of a designer and I'm trying to tell you be more business, like just be more designer, like make that be your specialty, make that be the thing that differentiates yourself. If you're more the installer guy, then be the installer guy, like you said. So I like it a ton. So many different ways to win. The key is that you're winning, right? So take action. Lately, one of my coaches was telling me that action creates clarity. And it's so true, because when we're sitting there and we're like, I don't know, there's a lot of different things I could do. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. Well, we don't do anything. When you take action forward, you're going to get clarity. It might be the wrong thing. It might be like, crap, well, now I know not to do that. So let me pivot and go over to here. So It was a pleasure having you on here, man. I really appreciate you taking time. I'm excited to hear Rose's reaction about the Paris trip. So go do that.
I will
And,
send you a video, and I appreciate you so much. Thanks for letting me be on here and talk, and for so much that you do for our industry. And thanks, Tom Garber with Emery Allen, for your awesome product and your really awesome customer service too.
Nice, man. All right, man. You have a great week. The rest of you guys, we'll see you next week as well. And don't forget to keep moving forward.
Light on.
See you guys.